I'm at the I never want to fricking look at this book ever again phase of the writing process. Hey, it's Herman P. Hunter. It's the weekend. I've showered, but I haven't shaved because it's the weekend and whatever. I'm sitting here in my disgusting back room that we are currently tearing apart and remodeling to an extent, so excuse the mess. We're going to set this up to live stream, so I can do live streams and other videos out of here in the winter when it's freaking cold, and right now it's really freaking cold. I want to show you something. This is the next to last draft of the Wizard Stone. I got some stats here. 415 pages, 82,308 words, 12-point Courier font, double-spaced, single-sided pages, 2 passes with a professional editor. Well, okay, technically it was 3. I had to rewrite the ending and another chapter, so I paid for that to get looked through again. And I usually don't print off this massive thing. My wife prefers to go through printed pages, so she's doing the last edit. Right now, it's already had a professional proofread, and my wife's going to go through it one more time to make sure that we caught everything. I usually do most of the revisions on my PC, so I don't have to print off these massive piles of paper. But I'll tell you something, I do enjoy doing edits like that. I've done this before. I did it with my first book, which, if you followed me, know that it's out of print. It was a book on software. You actually had to print off a manuscript and send it back and forth to the editor before it got finally revised. Needless to say, this video is about editing. At some point I'm going to have to hit the book fairs and comic convention circuits. So not too long ago I went to what I think is a mid-sized comic convention. It's local. And I stopped by the stalls of various authors and I picked up a couple of books. To be honest, I didn't like either book. And they lost me after the first chapter. I won't say the books are bad per se. Whether a story is good or bad is kind of subjective. There are people out there that think The Revenant and the Tomb is, well, a little bit overwrought. I didn't think the stories I bought were compelling enough to keep my interest, and that's just me. You know, different strokes for different folks. But after that experience, I will say this, if there's one piece of advice I can give to authors that are currently self-publishing or looking to self-publish, it is this. For the love of God, hire a professional editor. Some people out there who can write and edit their own stories and do it in a fairly professional manner. However, from the small sampling that I've read, and it's just not these 2 books that I purchased, but a couple of others, it's very clear to me that the number of authors that can do that is pretty small. I know editors are expensive. Editing will constitute roughly 1/3 of my production costs, and that includes the audiobook as well. And I know some editors sort of like to soak authors. I've seen some of the prices, so get why there's an aversion to hiring an editor. And I'm very well aware there's a lot of people out there that can't do what I do and pay the fees for a professional editor to go through their manuscript. Never mind 2 or 3 times. However, my philosophy is pretty simple. Even if this is a hobby, it's my name on the cover. It represents my vision and skill. I need to make a book that is as good as it can be, given the tools I have. At this point, I will have been through roughly 9 or 10 revisions of that huge manuscript that you saw. 8 of them I saved, a couple of them I just sort of skipped over. So I do have like all the various stages of this story being built still on disc somewhere. The beta reading started in July. The editing process in earnest started in August. Now it's nearing the end of November, and by the beginning of December, I'm hoping that we can send this out to the copyright office and to the book formatter. I'm cutting it kind of close, and I know it. I get it that the audience for self-published books is becoming more and more tolerant of errors in the books. That being said, it's not an excuse for a second-rate product. If you're going to produce something, at the very least, you should strive to produce the best product you can, whether it's pies, widgets, or a book, or even a short story. I'll be the first to say that editors themselves are not perfect. They'll miss stuff. That's the reason why I've read and reread and reread and reread that stupid frickin' manuscript at least a dozen times. And I never want to see it again. And it's the reason why I'm going to have my wife look at this manuscript one last time before I say it's done. I'm going to try and make sure that we've caught every single error that we can, see if we can find stuff that the editor missed, and try to produce the best product that we can. I lament the fact that we can't do this faster, that I can only do 1 book a year, but this is the reason why. I mean, as I told you, as I pointed out, I started in July, and now it's November, and we're just finishing. I wasn't going to let the ending go out the way it was. It was a horrible ending. I think this ending's a lot better. My wife agrees, and so does the editor. So, the other reason why we're doing this last read-through is because I want to make sure that I didn't somehow fat finger something out of existence. That's the thing about edits, is that you can fix stuff and break stuff all at the same time, which is the reason why in software development we hate manual entry. But what I'm trying to say is, if you're only doing 3 passes through your manuscript since the first, quote, final draft, you're not doing enough. Sorry. You need to do a lot of passes and polish it and polish it and polish it. It's not going to be perfect, but you should at least make the attempt and really concentrate on it. I think I mentioned that earlier that I'm probably going to do a couple of videos on this subject, on editing. I'm going to see if I can provide some suggestions for less expensive editing. I want to research that. I have some ideas, and there's stuff that I know that exists in the self-publishing sphere that will help you polish your final manuscript. But I'm going to do this as an aid for new self-publishers. I mean, I do kind of have experience at this. I have traditionally published stuff. I published articles. I've been through this at least 5 or 6 times, and I think that's more than enough to while not being an expert on the subject, is more than enough to provide some credible information that newbies can use to their benefit. So, until the next video, rock on.